Okay, so in the last video I promised that we would give a bit more style to this, a bit more, make it a bit more interesting, because it doesn't, even though we've said we've defined the same elements that appear here and that appear here, it does look very different, doesn't it? So this brings us to another topic. It's actually, we do separate things. So HTML, this stuff what we're doing with the HTML, is actually, this is what HTML is for. It's not to make things look pretty. It's just to make sure that it's to define the elements that have to be on our web page. So yeah, that's about it. So what we can do, so we can put some styles onto this HTML, but it's better to separate things. We usually separate things, especially when your program, if your application gets a lot bigger, then you appreciate being able to separate concerns, as they say. So here in the HTML, we've only got the elements that we want on the page. Just define them in their order and all that kind of stuff, and then in their hierarchy and something that makes sense, and is easy to understand. And then separately, we're going to be more concerned about the styling. Colors, so the styling, we're talking about different colors, the colors we're using, the color scheme that we have, we're combining colors a certain way. We can define that separately. The size of things, the kind of fonts we're using, this positioning of those elements. Sometimes you may want one to them even to move from one part to the other. A lot of that kind of thing, we call styling. Okay, so how do we do all this stuff about styling in our web page? It's actually what we call another kind of technology, which is called, or kind of semi-language, I guess, which is called CSS. What does CSS stand for? CSS is Cascading Style Sheet, I think it is. So we can go look about this reference. There's other ones as well, as I showed you before, but CSS, we've got it here on the title. So I'll just have a look what it says about CSS here. Gives you a basic example. So it says it's the language you use to style a HTML document. So it describes how they should be displayed. Okay, so language to style stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Cascading, I guess, because it implies a certain hierarchy in the styles we're applying. And so we'll see how it works now. Okay, let's go back here. One way of putting styles is to say we wanted to change the background that we've got at the moment, which is white. We want to change it to black, like this one. So one of the ways of doing that would be, say, on our body, which is where all our content is, we could put in an attribute. Okay, this is called an attribute. So this is the first time, this is something of HTML. So we our tags can have these like attributes here. This would be the style attribute. Another attribute could be ID. We could define an ID for different elements to identify them, and we could just say, whatever. This would be another attribute, the ID attribute. So if we add a style attribute, we could start putting styles here. Okay, and those styles will be applied to our web page or to the element where we're putting that attribute. So if we go back, we reload, now we've got a black background. Okay, but it's not a good idea to leave this in the HTML. Sometimes it's done, but it's as I was saying before, it's better to do things separately, okay? Keep things separate. It'll be a lot easier down the track. Okay, so we can go back to our node. Let's create a new file and let's give it a name. So we're going to name these styles. Not very original, but styles, yeah, we don't want it to be a TXT document with a CSS extension, okay? So we want to save it like that. And how do we write the style? So the way we write CSS is first we're going to define somehow what element we want our styles to apply to. So, and then we put these curly brackets, and we put inside the curly brackets the styles. In this case, we had it on the body. Well, we're going to put it on the body again, okay? The body is everything, so all the content is going to have that background color, and we said it was going to be black. Okay, so this is the same way of doing what we had before, but before it was right in the middle of our HTML, but in this way it's all separate. So if we go back, we reload, now the style doesn't work. Okay, why not? Because where's the other one? The other HTML, our HTML file. Let's open this up again. Open up with a notepad. If we have a look at this, this file doesn't know anything about the new file that we've just created. So we want to have a way for it to load up those styles we've got in the other file. How do we do that? Well, there's an actual tag. When it's not in here, it's link, I think. Let's look it up. How to background syntax one HTML file, and see if we can find the tag. So that's explaining the syntax, how to add. Okay, so it's talking about, here we go, link. Then we've got rel. This is to define this is going to be a style sheet. And then there's another attribute. These are attributes, remember? There's another attribute which is the href. So this would be like a hyperlink reference. And we're including the name of the file we're going to load up here. So let's go back and say link and style sheet, and we've got the href, and we named our file styles.css. And in this case is one of the cases where this doesn't have a closing tag. Okay, it's just loading up this link one, which loads up this file. It doesn't have a closing tag. It's one of the exceptions that I mentioned. Okay, so let's try it like that. I'll save this. We'll go back, load again, and now it does work. Okay, it's found the file and it's loading those styles. We put it in the. But the problem is now we can't see anything. Okay, we've got stuff here, but we can't see them because everything's black. So how do we fix that up? Let's go back to our styles, and we want our text to be in white, don't we? So we can put color. Color is the style we use to define the color of text. So let's just put that, see what happens. Yeah, now we can see again. Great. Okay, well, I think we've done this. Now we started adding styles to our but we can see this is still pretty ugly, that our table. So we'll continue on. We've got, remember the reference, all these different styles that you can look up if you need to do some more things, but we'll need some of that to give this a style that's more looks a bit more like this. Okay, so that'll be for the next chapter. See you soon.